For 76 years, fans at Arkansas State have cheered for the Indians. The mascot was adopted for the school's athletic teams in 1931. Jumpin' Joe and Runnin' Joe are a couple versions no longer used but remembered by many. But in 2005, the National Collegiate Athletic Association announced a ban that included the use of Native American logos and mascots. For the past 2 years, Arkansas State has avoided the change while other schools are changing.
We're increasingly becoming the only Division 1A school that has Indian imagery and nickname and mascot.
Dr. Potts says it's becoming more and more of a problem. Arkansas State would not be allowed to host an NCAA championship, would have to cover the Indian logo on school uniforms if playing in a championship anywhere else, and some teams will refuse to play schools with Indian logos, a problem ASU has already seen with the 2007 football schedule and the University of Wisconsin.
But once they learned that our nickname was the Indians, they basically broke off any further discussions about it, and they did have an open date. We had an open date. We ended up with the University of Tennessee game instead.
Dr. Potts says ASU is not being forced to make the change, but they are being penalized for not changing. It's a frustrating situation that Arkansas State football commentator Coach Bill Keady has seen firsthand, when one school refused to refer to our mascot at all while calling the game.
I won't mention the university where we were, but yes, it was somewhat frustrating to me to see that the public address system, the person at that university wouldn't call Arkansas State the Indians. And, you know, it's a helpless feeling, though.
Student Activities Board President Lindsay Weaver says while athletes seem opposed to the change, other students haven't really shown much of an opinion.
I just feel like whatever's going to be best for the future of ASU is what we need to do.
Meanwhile, some committee members say the Indian mascot could be a problem for departments other than athletics.
You know, some people just think of students, but I think as a cultural heritage, we have a lot of things to consider, both for faculty that we bring here, because that's a huge benefit on the students we reach, and for even access of federal programs.
And it's something that we certainly don't want to happen. But we may not have another choice, and we don't want to penalize our student athletes here at Arkansas State by being bullheaded.
I'll always be an Indian, regardless of what happens in the future. The NCAA and no one else can take that away from me.
How many people here think that was wrong, what they're trying to do? How many people here think it's wrong?
Many Indian fans, including retired KAIT sports director Dick Clay, had something to tell the ASU mascot committee. That debate over changing the Indians' mascot to something approved by NCAA rule is a heated one for fans.
It's not right. I feel like the NCAA is stepping in the area. They need to be doing other things. But I don't make those decisions.
The mascot committee used a lunchtime meeting to get the opinion of fans.
I don't think that anybody has the right to tell us what to name our team.
Every time I walked out there, I was proud of our Indians, of the people, the mascots. Proud.
The Indians are the name, and there's the NCAA is not an all-powerful person. I know that they're trying to be politically correct and everything, and I think we should fight it.
For the committee members, who also say they're fans of the mascot, this decision is a tough one.
I grew up an Indian, and I'll die an Indian. What I want is what's best for them, and unfortunately, you know, that may not be what I would like to see us do. But the ultimate thing has to be what's good for the student athletes.
We've been the Gorillas, we've been the Aggies, we've been everything else, Runnin' Joes and presented A-State and things like that, or the ASU logo. Things change, and if it's time to change and if it betters our school, I'm all for it.
ASU student Melissa Mosier stood and asked where the money will come from to pay for changes if they happen.
My tuition just got raised $100, and you know, it's just kind of funny, it just got raised, and now, you know, this whole debate's coming about, which, you know, it may or may not have something to do with.
Now as for the cost, Athletic Director Dean Lee and other members of the committee have looked at what the changes cost other schools.
$250,000 to $300,000 is the cost to go in and change.
And other schools who have fought the decision have spent millions of dollars in legal fees. But there may be an answer from the fans.
If they're worried about lawyers and stuff, we've had all kind of campaigns out around here to raise money. And I, for one, will give a $500 check to start it off.
While others are ready if the decision is to change.
If we have in fact done all that we can do, then it's time to stop the fight.
So we basically had two options. We could vote for change, or we could vote not to change and incur the ramifications, implications, and sanctions of the NCAA.
After committee members took several minutes to look over a resolution to change the Indian mascot, the landmark decision was made.
All those in favor of the resolution, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Folks, we have, again, we've made history. The overriding decision was not one that any of us relished. There's a lot of emotion tied to that. But we had to do what's in the best interest of the university, and I believe the committee did that.
Randy Romo attended Monday's meeting. She's part American Indian and co-founder of the Center for Artistic Revolution, a group trying to break down stereotypes.
This didn't happen because it was the right thing to do. It happened because it was an economical thing.
She feels the university should change the mascot because it is an insult to Native Americans.
What I keep hearing is, you know, the anguish and the sadness that they have to change because they're being forced to by the NCAA.
While she doesn't feel the university's heart is in the right place, she is happy with the decision.
Regardless of if they feel like their arms were twisted and they were forced into it, which seemed to be the prevalent opinion in the room, it is a step in the right direction.
The recommendation of the committee now goes to the Board of Trustees, who are scheduled to meet again in September, but a special session could be held before that time. The committee also passed a resolution to recommend a national sports marketing group is hired to help with the decision of the next mascot. But fans shouldn't throw their Indian apparel away just yet.
I would say the earliest it could possibly be full implementation would have to be with the 08 season. This is the document that most of you agreed with, and you have a copy of it.
This committee has made a lot of tough decisions over the past few months, one being to recommend to concede to the NCAA ruling and do away with the Indian mascot.
It's not an easy decision, but I think in this case, the action that we took was the appropriate action.
On Monday, the committee met for one final time to approve an action plan on how to choose a new mascot. Once that recommendation will be submitted to Chancellor Robert L. Potts to review and take to the Board of Trustees.
Whether or not this particular process is the one that Dr. Potts chooses to use is, of course, up to him.
It's up to the administration if they accept our recommendations. If they do, I think Dr. Potts is ready to move very, very quickly.
The action plan details how the committee feels the process should go. Some key points. They recommend a new committee be formed, a mascot selection committee. A national or regional marketing firm be hired to help narrow down the choices for a new mascot. The mascot should be ready by the 08-09 academic and athletic year. And the Indian mascot should have an honorable retirement from use at ASU.
We need to identify who we are and to move forward in the 08-09 academic and athletic season with a new mascot, new imagery, in order that we won't just be no names.
It won't be easy, let's put it that way, because selecting a mascot means different things to different people, and it will take some time and some thought.
Many in the community have their own opinion on what they think the new mascot should be. And Chairman Jim Pickens says the new committee would gladly accept those.
We hope that all the suggestions will not only come from the community, but come from out the state. We've got alumni all over the United States.
They hope to have thousands of suggestions. That way they can narrow it down to 3 to 5 to take to the marketing firm. That way the firm can help them come up with an economic decision on which mascot would be best for the university.
Hopefully we can brand it in such a way that every kid in the state wants one of our shirts or our baseball caps with our new image on it.
Whatever is chosen will become just as natural for us to use as the Indians have been.
I picked the color.
Jimmy McFink is a fearless football fan.
I always wanted a t-shirt that says, "We interrupt this marriage to bring you the football season."
And as a lifelong Arkansas State fan, Jimmy's not too happy about the decision to eliminate the Indian mascot.
I don't like the change, but I understand why it's happening. There was a time when I said, if Arkansas State changes their name, I will root against them forever because they can have the guts to stand up to the NCAA. But after watching the news and seeing what all is going on, it's really the only decision they can make. So I'm still going to be an ASU fan.
And as a fan, Jimmy's got some ideas on what he'd like to see on ASU's football helmet in 08.
I don't know of any other pro or college team that uses the name Cavemen, which I think would be really cool because you could have ASU in the background, looks like it's carved out of a rock, and then a caveman in the foreground with a rock football and a lance, and that way we still keep the lance from the Indian name. It kind of carries on.
Some of McFink's ideas come from teams in his fantasy football league.
My team, the Klingons, because I'm a Trekkie, but they would never go for that.
Then there's the Fighting Farm Boys, complete with this year's bumper corn crop. And the Cobras, decked out in red, black, and white, or maybe even the Swarm.
So that could easily be turned into a mosquito. If we're going to be the Skeeters, then definitely he should have a football, and he should have a mean look on his face, like I'm coming to get you.
Jimmy turned his ideas into real logos using the website fantasysportshelmets.com. He spends lots of time on the internet taking college courses, hoping to be an ASU graduate one day and become a history teacher. But it's going to take quite a while. You see, Jimmy is an amputee. He lost his right leg in a motorcycle crash in 2003.
I spent the next 31 days at the med and left with one leg short. But that opened up a world of opportunities.
And Jimmy hopes all ASU fans will look at the school's current mascot crisis as a real opportunity.
Everybody in the community should care, even if you've never stepped foot on ASU campus, because it still reflects on Jonesboro and the surrounding community, whatever name they choose.
A choice that will be greatly debated in the months to come. Bob Snell.
It could be the Arkansas State Aliens or Space Aliens.
KAIT News.
Oh yeah, a lot of options, but we have to choose carefully.
I do not go out in the community anywhere, whether it be Jonesboro, Paragould, wherever we are, without somebody coming up and asking about the mascot or giving their thoughts. So there are no shortage of good suggestions.
It's the talk of the town, the mascot change at ASU. At the Power Breakfast, Coach Roberts talked about their feelings on the issue.
That decision is out of our control. That decision will be made much higher up than the football coach, with the Board of Trustees weighing in and making that decision. We love the tradition of the Indians and what we've been able to accomplish over the last 75 years as Indians, but the board has made a decision that we're going to move forward, and we support that decision and look forward to that change.
Brad Bobo, who does play-by-play for the Indians, says fans are not alone.
Not very many people are real happy about it, and that includes us for the most part. But it's kind of a situation where you play in the hand that's dealt you by the NCAA, who kind of made its stance on what it thought about the Native American mascots. And so now I think our fans have kind of accepted it as, hey, this was not a decision that ASU got up and made one day to change.
Business leaders in the area, like Paul Pickens, feel with the loyal support of the fans, they'll make the transition into a new mascot with pride.
I'm still going to support them. I'm not going to root for, just because they're not the Indians. So to me, it's going to be up to each person and how they view that.
I know this, when the fans come out and support us, we play extremely well, and hopefully we'll play well enough to get more and more people in the stands each and every game.
I just hope the fans just come out and support them because, again, this is our home school here, so we need to all come out and support them.
In Jonesboro, Yolanda Young, KAIT News.
Indians is hard for me to change. I've been an Indian. It'll be hard for me to come up with something else. I understand what they're having to do. The administration didn't have any choice because of the NCAA regulations.
Freshmen, an arena full of them, wide-eyed and curious about what the next phase of their life holds. They signed up and expected to be ASU Indians, to wear their new school's heritage high. But between the filling out of the application and the first day of school, things changed. Their first year as Indians will be their last.
I haven't seen one person that they say it offends them personally. I just don't understand the whole thing. Really, I think it's just a big waste.
It was impossible to find a balance of opinions at the Convocation Center Sunday afternoon. Of the dozens we talked to, parents and students, none could make sense of the coming change from the ASU Indians to the ASU.
Well, I think it's ridiculous that you would get rid of something that's actually showing your support for Indians.
I guess they feel like they're just kind of being used or something, just being portrayed wrong, like they're real mean and aggressive or something like that, and they're not, and they just feel like, I guess that's how it's portraying them.
Something else, though, that was constant was the support these new students expect to show for their school, whatever the mascot is to become.
Leonard from the gun, Wilkerson.
It's a game Arkansas State fans won't soon forget. Last year's victory at Memphis.
Touchdown. No signal. Touchdown, Arkansas State. Touchdown flag. They have won it.
As the anticipation builds to Saturday's home opener against the Tigers, fans like Donna Doherty are gearing up.
Before the Indian name left, we wanted to get some to wear to support what has been, 4 years, the only thing we knew.
Even though the Indians won't be ASU's mascot next year, it's not hard to find Indian gear like T-shirts and hats. But for some stores, it is hard to keep them on the shelves.
And they are snatching up everything, regardless if it has the old headdress on it or the state logo on it.
It's selling better since this being the last year of the Indians, that more people are coming in and stocking up on Indian stuff.
It's still selling great. I mean, theoretically, we are the Indians, still are the Indians till next year. Nothing's changed. We don't have a new mascot, so we're the Indians. We're going to play it out until the end.
But in the future, things like this Indians hat, this T-shirt, or even this mailbox cover may become collector's items.
So I try to buy as much Indian memorabilia as we can just to put around the store because people enjoy seeing it. It brings back old memories.
And for ASU Indians alum and store owner Hoppy Hoffman, he'll always have the Indians in his heart.
Everybody's going to be Indian. If you went to school here prior to this year, you're going to be an Indian. You're going to be an Indian until you die. And we just kind of have to change with the times.
And although change is inevitable,
we're going to support where we live, and we're going to keep this around, and we want our son to have, know that there's value and sticking to your roots. Yeah.
Many Indians fans would say the Indian mascot is deeply rooted in Arkansas State history. In Jonesboro, Lauren Payne, KAIT News.
Lifelong fans and tailgaters Annabelle and Tom Akers were first to set up Friday morning at Indian Stadium.
We've been Indians a long time, as long as I've been alive, and I'd like to stay an Indian, but I'm aware of pressure from the NCAA, and I just hope we make a good choice.
And that decision could come soon. While no mascot was decided at Friday's mascot committee meeting, they did lay the groundwork for a new replacement for the Indians.
We developed a process that is all inclusive. It can eventually involve literally tens of thousands of people.
That process is ASU's website, where until October 31st, you can make a suggestion for a mascot.
Every person who wants to make a suggestion is at liberty. There are no preconceived ideas or notions. We approved a tentative timeline and kind of working backwards. By early spring, we should have identified a new mascot for Arkansas State University.
The mascot committee will then gather all of the suggestions and discuss them with members of their 9 constituency groups, which will now include athletics. By November 10th, the constituency groups will produce their top 10 lists. They also discussed a proposal on how to retire the Indian family.
In a very dignified, honorable, and professionally done retirement of our 76-year-old mascot. And that will come ahead of rolling out the new mascot.
But whatever the mascot is, some fans will still sport their Indian gear.
Our committee doesn't have the authority to tell anyone what they can wear or can't wear.
I've always been an Indian, always will be at heart an Indian.
For the Akers, INDIANS will always mean victory. In Jonesboro, Yolanda Young, KAIT News.
Drive across Jonesboro and you'll see the signs of ASU's mascot connected to all kinds of businesses. While the name scored well with ASU fans for years, these businesses now have to decide whether to drop the hatchet on the Indian name.
I think it'd be a change that we wouldn't like.
Nancy and Jimmy Lafourette own Indian Motors, but unlike A-State, they will not abandon the Indian name.
We've been to college over at ASU, and that was real special to us, the Indian name. So we want to keep it.
And some would say they have a right to, as the Lafourettes have Native American heritage.
On my side, it's Seneca, and on his side, it's Cherokee. Both of our families have been around here for 200 years.
Thank you for calling Indian Bookstore. How may I help you?
However, some businesses say that they will use this change in a positive way.
Yes, we will. We will be changing the name.
Indian Book and Supply told us that they plan to use the name change to help expand their business, but they will remain true to ASU.
By no means is the connection going to be lost. We'll do our best to include the new mascot in our name.
And while Indian Book and Supply may change for business reasons, another business plans to stay the same for the very same purpose.
Reasons probably cost prohibitive. The time our signage, our letterheads, all the stuff we would have to change would be cost prohibitive.
Indian Realty has been in Region 8 for many years, and even their office is largely reflective of A-State's mascot.
I have a sign that's got Indian Realty with the Running Joe on the original office sign.
So while we may see some new names in Region 8 and the Indian mascot may soon be history, don't expect to see the Indian name totally disappear. Stan Morris, KAIT News.
If we have to change, I think maybe something like Ridge Runners.
But I know the Quapaw are from around this area. Maybe they could do like they did the Seminoles. You know, ask them, or maybe the Pit Bulls or the Rockwallers or something like that.
ASU Indian fans are making their voices be heard, giving their suggestions on what they think the new mascot should be.
From the very beginning, the Chancellor had asked for very broad and public input, and this is one way that we're making sure that happens.
ASU Alumni Association Executive Director Beth Smith says the school is taking suggestions from you on what you think the new mascot should be, but time is running out.
We're trying to gain suggestions. This page has been open since the end of August, and we wanted a very lengthy period so that everybody had plenty of time to come up with ideas. The name that may be selected may not have been posted yet.
Some fans have given their picks. As of Friday, over 900 suggestions had been made.
There is a link there that will provide friends an opportunity to suggest names and also to review the names that have been suggested.
You can even resubmit a name that you really like.
The October 31st deadline at midnight is important to us.
After that deadline, the wheels really get moving for the final choice.
There are 9 constituency groups that have been identified, and each of those groups will evaluate all of the names that have been suggested.
Those groups will narrow the list of almost 1,000 names down to 8 or 12 mascot suggestions, and then compile the 9 different lists.
Right now, we think that we'll have that name and available in spring of 2008 to be applied in the fall of 2008, so that new imagery will be established for our next 100 years.
The Indian is entering its final days as the mascot for Arkansas State University. As of 12 o'clock last night, no more suggestions could be submitted by the public. Now it's up to 9 selection committees to whittle down more than 1,400 entries and eventually end up at 1 mascot. Thursday night, the first of 9 committees given the task of selecting their favorite ASU mascot met at the Jonesboro Chamber of Commerce. Their mission, to pick 8 to 12 mascot suggestions that will move on to the next round in the selection process.
Every group is supposed to submit 8 to 12 names by the 10th of November to then be forwarded on to the selection committee.
Again, tonight's meeting is the first of several to start narrowing down that list of possible Arkansas State mascots. The final decision will be made by a steering committee made up of ASU students, staff, and alumni. I'm at the Jonesboro Chamber of Commerce. Rebecca Smith, Region 8 News.
Last night is probably one of a number of events that will occur with regard to this.
While Thursday night's halftime show honored the Indian family, it was certainly not their final farewell. An official retirement ceremony for the Indian family is in the works. So too is a retirement ceremony committee that will provide recommendations for an official retirement ceremony. Committee Chairman Richard Carville.
The Chancellor asked me to head up this committee. I want you to include students, I want you to include alums, faculty and staff, and folks from the athletic department, obviously.
Carville goes on to say the committee may consist of cheerleaders, former mascots, and even people who have worked with the mascots. He says they will also see how other schools retired their Indian mascots.
If we can put all of this stuff together and come up then with something that is unique for our campus, that's what we want to do.
The Indian mascot is a 76-year tradition rooted deep within Arkansas State students, alumni, and fans. And while the Indian mascot may be leaving, the memories are etched in Arkansas State history.
The announcer would come on the PA system and would say, "Clear the track. Here comes Chief Big Track." And of course the horse would start and would make that circle, and
it was exciting.
The Chief, the Brave, the Indian Princess, the 3 members of the Indian family who serve as the mascot at every game. Kevin Davis served as Chief Big Track in 1984.
It was my job as the chief to ride, every time the tribe scored a touchdown, to ride the horse.
Wally Jackson was the Brave.
It was our duty to get the crowd going, get the team fired up.
Davis says he was really nervous before his first game. His job in part was to ride a horse up and down the length of the end zone.
I was up in the stands, talking with the crowd, and somebody said, "Hey, Chief, your horse is loose." And I turned around and I saw Wally trying to corral the horse.
These two have a lot of memories from their time on the field, saying they almost became their characters when they were out there.
You look over the field, and that was your domain.
For Kevin, he was raised an Indian.
I remember my dad taking me to see games at Kay's Field, and one of the memories I have, strong memories I have from that experience, was watching the Chief and the Indian family.
And from then on, he wanted to become Chief Big Track. And now that that's coming to an end,
I in no way ever thought that we were making fun of the Indians or casting the Indians in a bad light. I mean, I was honored. I thought it was almost noble, the way we did it.
We weren't out there in a cartoon type of character like you see most mascots. They had the head on or this or whatever. We were an actual live mascot.
when you watch the Indian family at a game, they are usually very solemn, and Jackson describes it as doing their job.
As we looked at it, being on, if it was on the football field or on the basketball court, we were looking vigil we were keeping vigil over our team.
The sun is setting on a tradition that was beloved by fans, I think. And ASU, sadly, is a school that doesn't have a lot of tradition.
As we prepare to move forward, this chief and this brave are remembering their time.
I have covered every inch of that field so many times during those years.
I'm saddened by it. I mean, I understand ASU has to do what ASU has to do, and I respect that.
And now, all he has are his memories.
There's a lot of memories, but it was fun.
If I could do it again right now, I'd go out there and do it right now.
I hope that everyone in the community understands what a very important decision this is.
Creating a new tradition. That's what this committee is doing. And Monday, they got closer to their goal. But to help them get it, they've hired marketing firm Phoenix Design Works, a company that specializes in collegiate athletics.
Suggest as many and as broad a range of possibilities to consider.
The company's president, Jamie Skiles, will be given a list of 12 names the committee has selected. He will also have access to the list of 700 names, just in case he sees something that the committee might have missed.
Continue to weigh them as contenders against each other until we get to one.
For the members of this committee, this is progress, and we will see more progress after the first of the year.
I really want to start developing some things visually, because it's a big difference between talking about it and starting to look at the physical manifestation.
The members of the marketing firm will look at the college, the surroundings, our history, all things that make us who we are.
The job of a brand is to help people make a decision. I want the brand we develop to make people decide to attend athletic events. I want that brand to make somebody who's never heard of us decide to come here and pay tuition.
We want to come up with something that is unique to Arkansas State, that depicts the very best and is in the high standards of the university.
While some fans have been confused about the decision to hire an outside marketing firm, the committee wants to make it clear that they will make the final decision.
The firm is not going to pick the mascot, the committee is. That's our responsibility.
I think if we can get a name that we're not sued or laughed at, as a committee, we've done our job.
It was a decision that took time, effort, and several motions, but members of the mascot selection committee finally came to the recommendation of wolves for the university's new image.
We did exactly what we said we were going to do in the beginning. We unified ourselves and we came together to do what's best for the university and for our region and our community.
It was probably not one of my choices I made it in, but as we saw it, I think it's an appropriate one. I think it'll be a good one.
and I think it'll be something we'll be proud of.
On Wednesday, the committee made the choice from the options of Ridge Riders and a train concept, something students and alumni are now howling with delight about.
I love it. I mean, I love the final two that they had, the Express. I love Red Wolves. I love both. I'm just glad we actually have a mascot now.
You know, to say that trains 20 years from now is not going to mean anything, because first of all, you're going to have an overpass here. So students that graduate now, 20 years from now, not even going to know what you're talking about. A Red Wolf is at least something you can get excited about, and it's and I can say I am a Red Wolf. I'm not ever going to say I'm a train.
In Jonesboro, Heather Flanagan, Region 8 News.
For over 70 years, Arkansas State fans have been cheering for the Indians, but instead of a tribal chant, they could be howling. The Wolf, maybe even the Red Wolf, a name that has been selected by the mascot selection committee for approval. But what do students think about it?
I think wolves are pretty cool. They kind of go along with the whole Indian mascot, being in the woods and tribal things, so I think it's a great idea. And they're red wolves, so it also matches our school colors.
When they were picking a new mascot, the ASU selection committee wanted to pick something that could be associated with this area, and the red wolf has actually been found in Arkansas. While no final decision has been made yet for the new mascot, the wolf is the recommendation, and not everyone is crazy about it.
Love the Indians. I feel like alumni and students that are here right now, it's going to be a major change. We'll have to get accustomed to calling ourselves the Wolves and cheering it.
I'm going to miss the Indians, of course. I'm only a freshman, but parents are alumni here, so I think the Wolves would be great.
Brittany Cottle is an athlete at ASU, so this change could affect her more than the average student.
I play golf for the ASU, and it's just kind of a lot better. I thought we could be like something that people would like remember.
Many students say they will always be Indians in their hearts and don't really want to see this change happen, but regardless, they will support their team.
I think so. I know I'm going to get into the Wolves. I may dress up as a wolf at the games and get a little excited. I'm really excited about the new mascot.
In Jonesboro, Brandy Hodges, Region 8 News.
I'm an Indian. I'm still an Indian. I guess I'll always be an Indian. I'm happy with whatever they end up doing. I'll support it, whatever it is, whether it's the Wolves or the Red Wolves. But, you know, it's hard to get that Indian out of you, too. So I'll be there, whatever it is.
We are celebrating a 77-year tradition. We're recognizing people who have been involved in this tradition for over those 77 years. And we're saying a farewell to the Indians.
And I think it's a very endearing ceremony for our students, and that it is not only the start of something new, but it's the end of a tradition that we carry on up in our hearts. I'm very excited for our new mascot change and for the fact that we're moving forward with progress, and that is growth in all areas of our university.
I believe that Red Wolves is the best choice, and I've decided that that is the mascot that we would like to adopt.
On Friday morning, Chancellor Robert Potts made it known to the ASU Board of Trustees that his decision had been made.
They're vicious and very aggressive. They run in packs, and they can demolish a lot of different kinds of opponents.
And without much argument, a new page is entered in ASU's history.
Are you ready for a vote? Yes. All in favor, aye? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Dr. Potts. I think this is a great idea.
This means a new era for ASU, but the name was one that stood out from the start.
It just resonated, and the more we looked at it, it was a natural choice.
But another choice still lingers for Arkansas State. This one comes down to the court as the search for a new head basketball coach continues. So with all the talk, is Nolan Richardson still in the running?
I'd like to see him, whether he's chosen or not, on the campus. He's an icon in basketball and in this state particularly, and very, very fine person.
And one that's been drawing quite a buzz in recent days.
If I could get out of some of these 14, 15, 16-hour days and airplane flights to somewhere, it would be nice.
But joking about business or not, the university is moving forward in the search and is happy for the support.
It's fun to be at a university that's as vibrant and that there's much public interest in what we do as Arkansas State University.
So now as the face of ASU begins to change, there's only one thing left to say. Oh! Will Carter, Region 8 News.
Let it go.
A new era unfolds for Arkansas State University as the time for change arrives.
I've had a lot of people in here looking for the merchandise.
Indian Book and Supply Store manager Brian White is embracing the new Red Wolves mascot.
New logo, new mascot, great opportunity not only for the university but for us too.
Owner of Elite Graphics, Kim Edens, agrees. He says the demand for Red Wolves gear has caused such a sensation that he's decided to sell it to walk-in customers, a first for his store.
The new logo looks great on everything.
Some, however, are finding it a little harder to let go of the Indian tradition.
I guess if we have to change it, the Red Wolves are okay, but it's one of those once an Indian, always an Indian.
For others, change is good.
As soon as the new mascot, the new logo was out, I was ready to get my stuff on. I can't wait for the games.
It's out with the old and in with the new for ASU, but for some diehard Indian fans,
I'm going out as an Indian.
We have had some people comment that they didn't like it, but we've had other people who absolutely love it.
What it is, a billboard that reads, "Howl, yes, I want season football tickets." It's a part of Arkansas State's marketing strategy to get people excited about the changeover from the Indian to the Red Wolves mascot. Region 8 News asked people what they think of the billboard's message that's located on Caraway Road.
The billboard that I'm looking at now is just not friendly.
It kind of seems like it's a little over-aggressive. It seems as though it's saying hell yes, which isn't very positive.
ASU's Indian Club says the real meaning behind that message is to fill up these stands in time for football season.
You have to look at the intent behind our message, and our message is that we want people to come out, buy season tickets, fill up our stadium, and howl.
Some people say they like the Howl Yes campaign and think the billboard will help build excitement for the ASU football season.
A billboard, man, is Arkansas, you know? I say leave it up there, man, it's Arkansas.
What do you think?
I like it, really. It's good.
For more than half a century, ASU football was played on tribal ground. But as the Wolf Pack gets ready to make its howl in Arkansas, there's a lot of changes underway for the upcoming sports season.
The first things we want to work on are the things that are most visible to our customers and to their fans and alumni.
And what's visible is a whole lot of Indian memorabilia. In fact, ASU's football stadium is full of Indian signage.
There's a large ASU logo with the Indian headdress in the S that will need to be taken out, and then on the scoreboards and on the front of the press box.
And that's only on the football field. The baseball field and the soccer field are also marked with the Indian mascot. Now, the cost to re-logo all the athletic facilities with the exclusion of the basketball court is going to come with a price tag of around $75,000 to $90,000. However, the university says it could have been much worse, but the previous change is keeping the costs down a bit.
And we've kind of went through the transition promoting the state logo over several years, so we don't have quite as much had we not went through that transition period.
And it is the hopes of ASU athletics that by their first game in September, the Wolves will be howling.
It will be Red Wolves everywhere, and the state logo will be very prominent, and hopefully we can take the Indian logos off the prominent locations inside the stadium.
Just one more step ASU is taking to be in compliance with the NCAA. At ASU Stadium, Will Carter, Region 8 News. As the Red Wolves take to the field for their third round of padded preseason practice, along with their hard work comes a historic year for Arkansas State.
This will be the first. It's brand new. It's shiny. It's all polished.
But to get ready for the first home game of the inaugural season, ASU is leaving behind a legacy of 80 years, as the Indian name is coming down. In fact, on Monday, scaffolding stood tall in front of the press box, where the words Indian Stadium have now changed to home of the Red Wolves football.
We're kind of watching it day by day as the new signs go up, so it's a lot of fun, very exciting for us and for our student athletes.
But with all the change, there will still be some Indian spirit left over, at least until it can be phased out. Along the aisles of the stands, the Indian logos will likely remain as the school works to get the major signage changed out for the official start of the season.
We've celebrated the Indian mascot for 77 years, and we have put that logo up all over the place.
But as the logo comes down from many highly visible areas, the winds of change are blowing, or should we say, howling a new chant.
It's safe to say Barry Posey has Red Wolves fever. This Red Wolf statue that he proudly displays at his home on Main Street in Jonesboro is a symbol, he says, of his passion for Arkansas State.
And I've gotten lots and lots of people coming down Main Street, seeing it and commenting on it and asking where to get it.
Inspired by other sculptures front and center on Main Street, including a lamb and a pig, Posey decided to add this concrete creation to the landscape. And now he's encouraging other ASU fans to do the same.
A-State is what we support. The mascot, it's our wolf, and we'll learn to support it once we get in there. It may be hard. We almost want to say that other word sometimes.
Posey says he noticed the statue in Paragould at the Cement Pond, a place that sells concrete statues. The owner painted it too, making it ready for its Main Street debut.
They're great to either set on your steps at your home just to show your support.
When I first saw it, I had to get tickled.
Loretta Bookout says she liked it instantly, and being a lifelong ASU fan, she knew the moment she saw it,
I have to have one too.
Of course, there were no shortage of opinions when it came to naming the new mascot, but in the end, Barry Posey says he's happy to have the Red Wolves howling in his front yard.
I don't think I could get a locomotive in my front yard, and I don't even know what a Ridge Rider looks like, so this is by far the best choice.
In Jonesboro, Lauren Payne, Region 8 News.
After months of waiting, the wolf is unveiled. This new physical embodiment of the ASU Red Wolves wowed the crowd at Saturday's ASU game.
I thought he was so cute. He was so energetic, just fun-loving.
ASU fan Brandy Coots says she's been looking forward to seeing the wolf and isn't disappointed.
He has the kids' attention. I think he's going to be wonderful.
It lived up to the expectations for sure. I mean, all the hype, it went up, you couldn't ask for a better mascot.
Now this red wolf is a part of the ASU family, and he's here to stay.
I think the fans have accepted the new mascot. Since we introduced it, everybody's taken to him, and I think he's found a home here at A-State.